you doing anything from like optimizing power usage and things like that?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. We have everything automated as much as possible. The one thing that I've also embraced is not buying smart home devices for the sake of buying smart home devices because I am addicted sometimes to things like that, where it's like,
Yeah.
Interesting.
man, having the new washer or dryer or dishwasher, it'd be pretty cool. But ours have that delay a couple hours on it. So I have a piece of paper posted like, here are the cheapest times. So if anybody needs to reference it, you can delay the smart or the washer or dishwasher without being smart. But the other things, like we have dehumidifiers in our basement. I have those automated, so they only run during the cheapest time and then turn off during the more expensive time. Incorporated with that as well, we have Tesla solar and power walls. I actually keep a monitor of the grid as well. So our power walls will tell us if the grid goes down. So if the grid goes down, I utilize a lot of the same automations to take the place of the peak pricing. So we don't need dehumidifiers if the grid goes down. The fish lights on the fish tanks, they all go, all these things go
Yeah.
off that are not essential, so that we make sure
Yeah.
we have power for lights and refrigerators and things that we really care about. Our pool pump doesn't turn on, things like that. Also, our pool pump is another one that's a big energy suck. So what we do with that is we have that automated where we have a helper that's a counter, and I just use 15-minute increments to figure out how much it ran throughout the day. So every 15 minutes, Home Assistant checks it. Is it running right now? If so, increment it one. Because sometimes, like, we'll go out and get in the pool and we'll turn on the filter while we're in the pool. And when we get out, we'll turn it off. So it figures out how many times it ran. And then when we get to the cheapest time, it figures out, did it run enough today? If not, kick it on. And then every 15 minutes, check to see if it ran enough. And as soon as it did, turn it off. So we don't run it more than we have to, because it does use up a lot of electricity. But we always use it over the cheapest period if possible, unless somebody's in and they manually turn it on, that type of thing.
That's actually pretty smart because then you know, like, okay, we've already used it, X amount of hours today. We don't need it to run for the full period of the cheap window today.
Yeah,
We
a
can
and it's really important actually for ours as well, because we have a saltwater pool, so it's using the chlorination from the salt water. So if you run it too
Right.
much, you're gonna actually over-chlorinate your pool as well. So it's not like you're just wasting electricity, you're actually over-chlorinating, which is not good.
Yeah. That's interesting. I never thought of it that way too, right? And I think yeah. And it's cool to take those big items to say, okay, based on this, let's build automations around it. I know you said you have a power wall, so with that you get a certain level of monitoring in there. Are you also doing any like smart breakers or anything like that, or are you monitoring power, the energy consumption between each device, and how granular?
We don't have any smart breakers. I have looked at those and considered those. I think maybe we'll get there at some point. For the most part, I've used just the individual plugs with the energy monitoring on those. If I do want to,
Right.
look granular at what level are we using. Also, I can to an extent figure it out based on our electricity bill before we put on solar or power walls. What I figured out was our electricity company provides us hourly information on our usage. So we can go back for 5 years and look hourly at how much we used. And you can do all kinds of analysis from that
Oh,
and
that's neat.
make some inferences from that, basically. Because
That's
have you
really
thought
cool.
about chucking that data into, like, an AI and seeing what it could tell you?
yeah, yeah, that's I'm a bit of a spreadsheet nerd, so
Yep.
I put it in there and played around with it. But yeah, I think that is a
Yeah.
good AI use case to, what can you tell from this? And that
Yeah.
was before we had solar and power walls. Now that we have that, we're sending energy back to the grid as well. So there's even more data points now because we have
Yep.
double basically.
Yeah. Do you have you done the ROI on something like the power walls, or any other kind of EcoFlow or whatever else? Like how does that work out for you in terms of like how long would you need to recover how much ever you've spent on it? Because they're not cheap.
No, no, they're not cheap at all. We did do all of the ROI on everything and figure out exactly what the payback period was. The one thing I would say though is we have a value of having electricity all the time that also we took into consideration. um, because obviously you do have the actual payback, but then there's other computations you can make as well. So I just pulled it up, and we what we installed was about, I think it was about 24 kilowatt hours of solar panels on our house, which is 57, I think, solar panels we ended up with on the house. And we put four power walls. And four power walls is a lot of power walls. And every time
Yeah.
you add a power wall, every time you add a power wall, your payback period goes further out. So
Yeah.
we looked at all the different options. Um, so the solar with Powerball payback was 13 years, and that assumed that we wouldn't energy arbitrage at all. If we do the maximum energy arbitrage, it's about 10 years of payback. And that means that every day during the daytime, we send all of our power back to the grid during that peak pricing. And then as soon as we hit the super off peak, we'd power those back up. So we basically discharge and recharge those power walls every day. We don't do it
Right.
quite to that extreme. We usually will do 20%. And then it also utilizes the weather forecast to determine if we need to override that, or if I know of, a certain situation going on locally, I'll just override it and say, keep all the power walls, because we don't want to lose electricity.
And this is all powered through Home Assistant?
Yeah, yeah, all the Powerwall stuff connects directly into Home Assistant. I also have we have a Tesla Model Y that I have
Yeah.
integrated into Home Assistant as well. That one's obviously cloud based, but the Powerwalls are a local integration.